Hey everybody, this is Patty from the Biker Map, and we are here today at Von Baron Motorcycles. So this actually is Alex and A-Rod.
Yes, known as, guilty as charged,
Yes.
Alex Rodriguez, so A-Rod has stuck over the years.
Yeah, so A-Rod wanted to come in and talk to us a little bit about the bike night that Von Baron Motorcycles is having this Friday. So y'all need to come down to Von Baron Motorcycles. It's going to be an amazing time. I know that they have like food trucks. Tina has food trucks coming in.
So we have 2 food trucks last I checked. We also have a live DJ that'll be here. But the most important thing, actually, I'm going to skip over some of the fun stuff because it's going to be a fun time. You guys know, if you've ever been to any of my events or if you've ever been to Von Baron for any of the events that Chris and Tina throw here, it's always a fun time. But the important thing is that this one is actually going out to help support the family of a fallen biker. Unfortunately, a young man by the name of Gio, very well known in the community, did lose his life in a motorcycle incident. And so the important thing about this bike night is that we are going to have a great time. But of course, some of his family members will be here, some of his friends will be here, and we're going to try to raise as much support as we can for his family in this time of need. So that's the super important part. But yes, we're going to have a DJ, we're going to have food trucks, we're going to have food and drinks, hint, hint, and we're going to have a really, really great time like we always do at any of our events.
That's amazing. It is a great cause for sure. So
of course, the donations are voluntary. You don't have to give a donation to come here. We don't want anyone to feel that way, but we are going to have different incentives once you get here to get you to that $20 limit. That's our personal goal. Is if everyone was to give 20 bucks, my gosh, you know, if a few hundred people show up to a big party and everyone gives 20 bucks, and leaves feeling like they did a good thing and it was worth the 20 bucks, which is our goal, to make it worth it to you, then that's going to be really great. Yeah,
that's amazing. So Von Baron Motorcycles, they are located at 16770 Links Court and in Fort Myers. So come down. It's Friday night, July 26th, between 5 and 10.
5 and 10, correct.
5 and
so
10.
It starts at 5. It officially ends at 10. Again, if you've ever been to one of our events, you know that there is no cutoff time. We're going to hang out until everybody feels like going to do something else.
There's going to be food trucks, which I'm so excited about. Food trucks, music, and vendors. So I hear that there's a DJ coming.
So there is a live DJ coming. There's also going to be a couple of vendors. We're being very selective about who the vendors are because, again, the important thing is for the memorial, but there will be people here that have been approved by not only Von Baron Motorcycles, but also because we have a close relationship with the family, Chris and Tina do in the store and everything, also approved by the family that they're comfortable with them being here while we're celebrating the life of their lost son.
Sure.
So.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Krieger Kennels. Can you tell us about Krieger Kennels?
We did one recently for Krieger's Halfway Kennels, and that is run by Stacy Krieger and her husband Joe, and it's run out of their own home in Cape Coral, Florida.
Oh, wow.
So what they did was they gutted out their garage, they put kennels and wash stations and everything in there, and they are really a halfway house for animals that need so much medical attention they can't be adopted. So let's say, for example, someone rescues or surrenders, in some cases, an animal. So maybe the police go to somebody's home and an animal's being abused. Well, when that goes to the shelter, it can't be adopted right away because it needs certain medical care before it gets to the adoptable point. So that's when they step in, because Stacy does have a background in veterinary science. And so she takes the animal to their home, recuperates to the point where maybe now they can be introduced to a regular person. It goes back to the shelter, or hopefully the shelter's already been in contact with people and it goes directly to that person, out to their forever home. So that's why it's Krieger's Halfway Kennels. So at any time she could have 8, 9, 10, I can't count how many dogs. I do know that they just celebrated 100 animals processed. That's dogs, cats, you name it, even reptiles. I have a couple of snakes that I actually adopted. One of them, my snake Frost, was once property of the Cape Coral Police Department because they got a call. And here was this big giant snake. And so through the process, we like supporting our local businesses, and it's a business, even though it is a 501c3 charity. So all of you who want to make donations, they are legit. She finally got it this year. She's a 501c3, so everything's not coming out of pocket. So that's really, really nice. And
that's amazing.
And so we supported them recently with a bikini bike wash, and we had food trucks out here for that, and it was a ton of fun. And now we're going to be having this bike night event where, of course, the main focus is going to be for Gio and his family. But as always, we're going to support this young lady and her family who's personally gone and done so much in the community to help these animals in need. Because remember, at the end of the day, animals can't help themselves. It is up to us. Because, you know, a cat can't speak on its own behalf. And when you have a litter of kittens that's abandoned by somebody in a box, that's where they end up going, to these shelters. And the shelters call someone like Stacy, who says, hey, I'll take them on.
So let's get into it. So
all
what's
right.
going on, Aaron?
So I had Slang Be Death already. Slang Be Death is my small little photography thing that I was doing more as a hobby. And then I got better at it, and people kept encouraging me, yourself included, encouraging me to go do more with it. And so now it's actually a legitimate social media promotion company. So what I do is photography. I'm dabbling in videography. I'm not great at it. Yes, Slang Be Death. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, and website coming soon. I'm still working on it. And so now what I do is I get hired out by Von Baron and a number of other places, and they hire me for whatever they need. So I can do anything from just inventory photography. So I come in and take some pictures of your inventory. I can do promotional photography. So I have a nice roster of semi-professional or professional models that I've worked with for years, and they'll come out and pose with your units. So that way you'll get more hits on social media. Or I can do event coordination. So for Savage 4x4 of the day after bike night, the morning after, I'll be waking up early and going and having a truck and Jeep show there. Also supporting Krieger's Halfway Kennel. So we kind of mesh the two events together. Friday night bike night here with all my two-wheeled brothers and sisters. And then the next morning, wake up early with all my off-roaders and go out and do another event supporting.
Because you do kind of both. You do the motorcycles and you do the big trucks.
Guilty as charged.
The monster trucks. And
so the trick is, I'm going to let you know what the trick is to have dual income, no kids, D-I-N-K, Dink, right? So I met an incredibly beautiful, incredibly intelligent woman years ago when I was working at Harley Davidson, who, by the way, was riding a Harley Davidson, fell madly in love. I'm not sure with her, the bike first, but either way, it worked out. Lacey, she is amazing. And so I got very lucky with that, in that she was already into the same things that I was into, and nothing wrong with having kids, but I had no interest in having kids, and I have no interest in having kids. So we just spoil each other.
Wow, you know what? I could see you guys having kids, though.
Everyone says that.
You would have like an amazing kid.
Wouldn't we, though? But we're not. So don't get your hopes up. I know Lacey's mom and dad, who are also like my mom and dad, don't get your hopes up. You're not getting any grandkids that don't have tails that wag and 4 legs. So Webb Benninghoven, you were mentioning, and I was saying how I had worked under Scott Fisher over at the old Harley dealership, then went over to Sun Sports. Then I met Webb Benninghoven when I started working over at Stu's Indian Triumph. And for those of you who don't know, he was a big part of why BMW actually started taking off in this area. When he worked over at Gulf Coast, he was the manager there, and he bumped their numbers way up. And I learned a lot underneath him. And then as the world turns, he is no longer a part of that organization because they sold to another organization, and he went over to Manfred at House of Trikes and is now his basically business manager. I don't know what the exact title is, but he's the guy that talks to the dealerships on behalf of Ravaco Trikes, which is really great because then now I get to work with him again loosely, because he's doing something very specific to his position. I do something very specific to mine, but I do a lot of the photography for them. So I have done some photo shoots for the Ravaco Trikes, and I will be doing more in the future as well.
That's amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's kind of nice.
Cool. Yeah, so I need a new cover.
I'm your guy. No problem.
They're the next ones, and I would love to have, you know, where the team has grown for you know, House of Trikes and Bikes. So I would definitely love to have their whole team together.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, that would be very
I'm
cool.
sure that's not a problem.
Yeah, that's
I'm
amazing.
actually, well, they're closed today because it's Monday and they open traditional motorcycle store hours. But I've got to go pick up the battery for one of my Harley Davidsons from them. So I'm going to go see J-Dub and Andy and Manfred and all the guys.
Yeah, so they should actually be trucking it up to Sturgis.
So they've not only got Sturgis, they also have another event coming up in the lakes of the Ozarks, specifically for Ivaco. So they've got a lot of stuff on their plate, which they always do. If you know Manfred and his team, they were the ones when we used to have the old Fort Myers downtown bike nights that would just bring out the huge semi truck and the big display and all hands on deck. The last time I saw them at Cape Coral Bike Night, they had the replica chopper from Easy Rider. They have just some amazing stuff that they bring out to these events. And they were a big inspiration for me, even though I didn't actually work with them at that time. When I was working at Harley, I was always watching what they were doing and saying, okay, maybe not on that scale because I'm not there yet, but I can do what they're doing. And so they were always a big motivating factor for me.
Yeah, that's so cool.
It is cool.
It is. Yeah, because if Manfred, if you're listening into this, he's probably on an 18-wheeler right now.
Yeah,
with all
probably.
The bikes, with all the Ivacos in the truck heading on his way to Sturgis, which he drives. So that's like 30-something hours to actually get there by the 18-wheeler. So that is just amazing. So yeah, so tell me, like, with your photography, where do the girls come from?
Okay, everybody wants to know about the girls because it just seems like I can pull them like rabbits out of a hat. So years and years ago, when I was a lowly salesperson who knew nothing about the industry at Harley Davidson back at Six Bends, they started doing like bikini bike washes and events like that. And there was no one really photographing the event, so nobody outside of the event knew it was happening, and it just was like a light bulb in my head. I said, well, if we shot some pictures and posted them on the internet of what a great time we had, people that weren't here would say, wow, we missed a really great time. We want to come to the next one. And so I literally just went to 7-Eleven, which was around the corner back then. I think we took the little John Deere Gator from Harley and cruised over there. Bought like a $9.99 selfie stick. It was like pink or yellow or green. They had a bucket of them in the front. Attached it to my cell phone camera and started snapping pictures. And so then the girls started seeing my pictures and saying, hey, would you mind sending me that picture? And so that's how we got to know each other better, because when you're a salesperson at Harley, you don't have time to really enjoy the event. So now I am the person they feel comfortable working with. Most all of their husbands or boyfriends are comfortable with me because they know who I am. They know I've known them in some instances longer than they have. And they understand that it's going to be always professional and courteous and polite, and I put them at ease. So sure enough, that's why when someone says, hey, can you get 3 girls for bikini car wash or bikini bike wash? I'm like, yeah, no problem. And I can reach out and I can get those girls. So
yeah, it's always been professional, and that's the way that it really needs to be, because, you know, I mean, if you bring it to a different level, you have to make it professional so that you can do your job. It's, you know, and sometimes people don't consider it to be, you know, your career or your profession. You know, because it looks like so much fun.
Yeah, so, and that's another thing.
That's with me too. You know, like with the biker map. You know, everybody's like, oh, you must be, you know, doing this or going to bike night and everything. Which I love to promote bike nights and everything. You know.
But you're always thinking like a businesswoman.
Yeah, I gotta get the word out. I want to help small business. I want to help small business, and I really love my community. And that's
like when I get a haircut, I just had my hair dyed recently.
It looks
and
amazing, by the way. I watched that on Facebook.
That's thanks to Ratchet Rosie Rose. Primpin' Ain't Easy on Instagram, and so I didn't even have to think about it. On the way there, I shot a quick little bit of a video clip that said, hey, I'm gonna go get a haircut. I only get like 1 haircut a year, and that's if that. I usually just cut my own hair. And it wasn't like I really had to think about it. I'm like, of course, she's a friend, and she's an independent businesswoman in the community trying to make a name for herself and trying to get clients. Why wouldn't I take a little time out of my day to just shoot a quick video? Shot a video before, during, and then after, mashed it together using a little editing software, threw it on the internet, and if it brings her some business, great. Wonderful. So yeah, even though I'm having fun and I'm doing things, I'm always thinking like, how can I help somebody else or help myself? Because let's be honest, I'm also helping myself, because if her business takes off, she's gonna hopefully hire me. Rosie.
So definitely. We are so looking forward to Friday night. I mean, it's going to be a good time. And definitely, Von Baron Motorcycles, they're located at 16770 Link Court, Suite 105 and 106. You're not going to be able to miss it when you get here on Friday because there's going to be food trucks, you know.
Food trucks, DJ will be going. We'll have tents set up with vendors. We'll have exclusive motorcycle-only parking, as we always do, because motorcycles first.
Yeah.
But there'll still be plenty of parking for the cagers as well. We understand not everybody can jump on 2 wheels. And some people like to bring their families to these events because they are family-friendly. I can't stress that enough. With Slang Be Death, whether we're here at Von Baron or somewhere else, we don't do the high-heeled bikini washes. We don't do that stuff. It's always sneakers. It's always family-friendly. It's always toned down a little bit. And we pride ourselves on that. My ego doesn't allow for it because I always look at it this way. If it's super scandalous and super skimpy, well, anybody can do that.
Sure.
So if you notice my photography, it's always, I try to keep it sexy but classy. I don't want to ever have a picture posted that you can't show your mom. Right. That's what we always say.
Well, that's amazing too. See, again, that you know, the business aspect of that, it carries a long way. Yeah, it certainly
we feel that way. And that's why I work with Chris, and that's why I work with Manfred, and that's why I work with Webb. I work with the people that think along the same lines. They don't have to be exact carbon copies of each other, but we have the same ethics, we have the same morals. We're like, hey, we can be sexy without being cheap. Right. We can be classy and still turn heads.
Right. Yeah, because you actually were a great support when I first started the Biker Map, and we had a dear friend of ours, Dana, that passed away, Dana Wilkinson. Yeah. And we had an amazing party that happened at the old
oh my gosh,
Ragged Ass Saloon.
Ragged Ass. I was trying to think of the name. Ragged
Ass Saloon.
And I think that was my first time there. I heard a lot about it because, of course, every biker in the area knew the Ragged Ass Saloon, but I hadn't personally made the ride out there. And we did. We grabbed a bunch of people. I think Jenny Hitch, who now is going to work at the New Indian dealership and was working at the time
I can't wait to
somewhere
see that
else,
shop.
And then worked at Power Lot. So she's another up and coming star in the area when it comes to power sports. Her and a bunch of our friends, and we all rode up there together, and you were there, and it was awesome.
So now, you know, Pine Island was a little damaged from the storm, so the Ragged Ass is no longer existing,
unfortunately.
But now there is Jug Creek,
which I have to make it out to. Again, I just don't get out as often as I'd like to because,
you know, I might have to introduce you to a couple people, because what Jug Creek is doing is they are holding concerts on Fridays and Saturday nights.